Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Buffaloes Breakdown podcast. I'm usual co-host Ryland. We're here with usual co-host Jake.
Yo, what's up, y'all?
No Jack today because he refuses to do anything that involves anything semi-adjacent to the NFL, even if it involves CU. So it's just us. Just kidding. And we are here for a very special episode. We're going to do a mock draft. It has been many a years since we have been this excited for the NFL draft. The last time I can remember that we were anticipating even seeing someone come off the board in a semi-timely fashion was LaVisca in 2020. So we're here. We're excited. And we're going to do this draft. So this is how this is going to work. Jake, I'm going to gas Jake up a bit. Jake is our resident NFL draft expert. He has been covering the draft for a long time, does a lot of data analysis concerning the draft, making models to try to predict stuff. So he's your guy. How this is going to work is we are going to pick one. We're each going to pick one. We're going to go down the list. I pick one, he picks one, I pick one, he picks one. So we're alternating, and we're going to decide who picks first by a very official game of rock, paper, scissors that happens right now. Best of one. Ready?
All right, best of one.
Okay. And this is like not predetermined at all. This is we're actually doing rock, paper, scissors. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, no,
shit.
no.
Scissors. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
No!
Dude. Okay.
We're not
ready.
I told you this wasn't. Ryland told you guys that this wasn't.
This is not a good idea. We should have done a coin flip. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh.
Okay. I pick first. All right. We're pulling up PFF right here. All right. First pick. Or I got to start the draft. First pick. The Tennessee Titans are on the board. They're going to go crazy. They're going to pick Travis. Just kidding. Cam Ward going off the board at 1. That is the most cop-out gimme pick that you can imagine. However, that's just what's going to happen. It's very clear that that's the direction that Tennessee wants to go. Cam Ward has made it very clear, talking about how the best running backs in the league are Jay Spears and Tony Pollard.
They are best in the league.
It's hard to disagree with washed Tony Pollard being one of the best running backs in the NFL. But
Calvin Ridley's the best receiver.
I don't tolerate Calvin Ridley slander because he won me fantasy 2 years ago. That was the pickup of the year. I don't know. There's not a lot to say about that Cam Ward pick. Tennessee obviously really likes him. He's consensus number 1 quarterback on the board for whether he should be or not. As Colorado fans and writers, like, we're obviously going to stand on our wall for Shedeur, and I think Shedeur is the best quarterback in this draft. But Cam Ward had a fantastic season at Miami. If you watch Cam Ward, though, my one thing with him is he is way too chill in the pocket. He looks like he popped a gummy and is just like sitting there. Like there's no movement. His eyes don't move. His head doesn't move. He's just sitting there. He's chilling there.
Chillest man alive.
And I don't know how that'll super translate to the NFL. But you never know. All right, Jake. Pick number 2, Cleveland Browns.
Yep. I wish we had the little sound. I feel like it's not right without the little ding. Yeah. I feel like we'll need that 31 times tonight. But second pick here. I am fully convinced that this is going to be Travis Hunter. I think the Browns both really like Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. I think Dion said that one of those boys are going to be going to the Browns. They took those 2 out to dinner the night before their pro day, and then they had multiple guys in attendance at the pro day. They seem to be locked in. Travis Hunter, two-way player. He's going to solve some of their issues on offense and defense. Hopefully, he can help Jerry Jeudy out in Cleveland because currently he's damn near all they have. Defensive side of the ball, I think Denzel Ward's one of the best corners in the league. But him and Travis are quite different, with Denzel Ward being a smaller, he's got the body of a slot nickel corner, but he really plays on the outside. And I think, with Travis being opposite of him, I think that's a huge addition to the defense, especially with them bringing Myles Garrett back. Travis Hunter's the right pick there to make that defense a respectable one. And no one's going to want to go to Cleveland and face up against Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and Travis Hunter and others in 10-degree weather with the dog pound yelling. Even if this team's 3-8 by week 11 or 12, like I would not want to go to Cleveland and play this team with that many stars on the defense. So, and I don't think they'll go Abdul Carter with Myles Garrett being there. So, for me, it's got to be Travis.
Okay, so I have a couple questions to unpack on this one, and we'll obviously dive a little bit deeper on this one because this is our guy. But first of all, do you anticipate that Stefanski lets him play on both sides of the football? Do you think that?
Yeah,
that's
for
a
sure.
Possibility?
Yeah, for sure. I think Travis is too good of a player not to. How big of an idiot? I think Dion said something like this, but how big of an idiot would you look like if your offense couldn't move the ball down the field drive after drive after drive, which the Browns can't? And Travis Hunter's sitting there on the sideline, begging for the football. You're an NFL team. You want to win games and you want to sell tickets. Travis Hunter is a more than serviceable wide receiver at the next level. Like you'd be an idiot, especially if you're the Browns, right? We're not talking about the Eagles here. He's not taking a spot away from Devonta Smith or AJ Brown or Dotson. It's like the Browns don't have many options offensively, so Travis is going to get playing time.
Yeah, and then my second question. My experience with Stefanski, he's a pretty player first kind of loosey-goosier, like kind of let stuff fly coach. And I think that'll be very conducive to allowing Travis to play on both sides of the ball. And I mean, I'm a Vikings fan. You can see my Minnesota Vikings cup that I'm drinking out of for proof. And he was our OC before he got hired to go working Cleveland, and that's my experience as with that. I guess my second question is, do you think that Travis is being put in a situation for him to succeed going to Cleveland? Because obviously that's a tough situation to get thrown into. That's been a very mismanaged organization for multiple decades. Are there concerns in your mind about Travis getting stuck in hell and being with an awfully run team and whatnot?
Yes and no. You hit on all the reasons why it is concerning. And a lot of those reasons would be more concerning if we were talking Shedeur, and this is the reason why I don't think the Browns will go Shedeur. You pick Shedeur, your team doesn't get much better with a rookie quarterback at the helm. You continue to fail. Shedeur gets frustrated with the lack of production on the offensive line. All this kind of stuff spirals, and you don't end up any better off than where you were. With you picking a player like Travis Hunter, if you want to turn your organization around, picking a player that's one of a kind, a guy who's going to help you on both sides of the ball, and a guy who, in my opinion, free agents might want to come play with him. It would be cool. If you were a guy who's been a Travis Hunter fan for a while, you might want to go play with Travis. I don't know. I don't know. So, I do think there's some reasons to be skeptical if I'm Travis Hunter going to Cleveland, but at the same time, if you want to turn the culture around, I don't think there's a better pick on the board than Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that, if best player available, that's obviously the guy you're going to pick. All right, number 3 on the clock here, we have the New York Giants. I'm going to go ahead.
Gosh, we are late.
Abdul Carter. We're being really chalky here, but obviously Abdul Carter, these are the 3 guys that you're being that are being looked at as the most coveted talent in this draft. Abdul Carter is obviously a monster. Watching him at Penn State, he is a home wrecker every single play. He's big, he's explosive, he can blow you up, he's quick. The only concern with that is obviously the shoulder injury in surgery that is, I think, upcoming for him if he hasn't had it already. But from my understanding, it's fairly minor.
I thought he didn't have to have surgery. Hold on, keep
I
talking.
don't
I'll look it
know.
up. I thought they said he didn't.
I know that he maybe was going to have it in that Notre Dame game because he hurt himself, and I forget what college playoff game it was. It was the one before.
2 weeks ago, it was announced he doesn't need surgery. Sorry.
Okay, never mind. Then that's a mute point. No, I don't think that they're going to draft Shedeur here, picking up guys like Russ and Jameis. I think that they're gonna try to ride it out one more year, hope that Russ can kind of plug that gap, and worst comes to worst, you're awful, which is probably what they're going to be, and you're in that running for the number 1 pick next year, and you can snag whoever you really want. And this is a relatively shallow quarterback class this year, so suck this year and bank that next year the quarterback class is better, I think, is probably mentality for the Giants. Okay.
Yep.
Patriots at 4.
Yep, I couldn't agree with you more on the Giants. Number 4, Patriots just signed Stephon Diggs. I would be tempted to go McMillan or Burden here if this was a different team on the board, but I will not be going either of those guys. I like Will Campbell. If I'm the Patriots, like I said, you just picked up Stephon Diggs. You've got a serviceable defense, and Drake May is going to need some help. So picking up the best tackle in the draft with the addition of Stephon Diggs, your offense immediately gets significantly better. And you want to give Drake May all the help you can give him while he's so, still developing and trying to figure it out. So protect your guys. How many NFL teams throughout history have drafted a quarterback early in the draft and then, not double down on him by drafting offensive linemen the years after. As a Colts fan, I watched us completely ruin Andrew Luck's career by not using, high draft picks on an offensive lineman. Then Chris Ballard took over, and one of his first picks was Quentin Nelson with the 6th pick, which was a phenomenal pick. So I'm a big proponent of going offensive line early if you've got a young QB. So let's fix the offense and let's win some games in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously not going Shedeur here. Like, you have Drake May. It's hard to make this one Colorado centric. At 5, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. At first thought, I think you're tempted to go Genty here, but I don't super like that pick for them. I think that they're probably pretty happy with guys like Bigsby and even ETN and stuff like that. You're coming from a Tampa Bay offensive perspective because Liam Cohen is your head coach now. And that is just a team with, you have average to above average quarterback play and just godlike wide receiver play, like with guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I think that they're going to go with Tet McMillan here. I like Tet McMillan. I know that's kind of on the high end for the Jags, but of all the wide receivers in this draft, McMillan is just the absolute specimen. I mean, as Colorado fans, we've seen this. We saw him moss Travis Hunter, and we've seen him in the Pac-12 and the Big 12 just as how big is this guy? He's like 6'5", like
6'5", 225, something like that.
Jesus, massive. This guy, I know there's maybe questions about his love for football, and he sees himself as like a volleyball player first. But if you're a Jacksonville team that's in dire need of some juice, I think that this is the high risk, high reward pick that you're going to need to go with if you're Liam Cohen to try to jumpstart this team this year. And you're already fine at quarterback. You have a guy like Trevor, and you're in a good spot relatively. Just try to bolster. All right, we've officially reached Shedeur Sanders' range. What are we thinking here?
I will not be going Shedeur here. Raiders signed brought Pete Carroll in, and Pete Carroll brought Geno Smith with him from Seattle. Geno Smith has been, Pete Carroll's guy these last few years. I think that Pete Carroll believes he can turn the culture around without a quarterback in this draft. I'm going to have some fun here. I'm going to go Ashton Jeanty.
I like that a lot. I
think they've been missing that bruising running back ever since they lost Jacobs. I mean, Jacobs is like every Sunday you turn the TV on, he was going for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. He was the best running back the Raiders have had in a long time. And since he went to he didn't go to a division rival, but he went to the Packers. With Jacobs going to the Packers, I think the Raiders need a running back. I think they probably look back pretty fondly on what it was like to have a premier running back, and I think they're going to try to get their guy again. So sorry to all the Broncos fans in here. Hate to inform you that Jeanty will not be making it out of anywhere near the 20th pick. So
fair. I mean, I'm not.
But
Broncos
there's plenty.
Fan. You're not going to offend me.
Yeah, plenty of other good running backs for the Broncos fans that are listening to this, but Jeanty is not going to make it that far.
Yeah. Okay.
Hampton, Judkins, Henderson, so many other guys for him.
Yeah, Judkins.
A lot of guys.
Oh man.
Yeah, a lot of guys.
Okay. 7 Jets. Just rip off the Band-Aid. I'm going Mason Graham. This guy, other than, Will Campbell potentially, but this is the guy that, from what I've heard from NFL pundits, is like the guy here to be bringing in to at least revamp your defensive line from Michigan. Like he's been interviewing well. He's been impressing GMs and executives. That Michigan defensive front was phenomenal. I'm sure we've probably all watched that Ohio State game, but I think consensus best defensive tackle on the board. Not a whole ton to say. I don't know a whole ton about Mason Graham, if I'm being super honest, but that seems like a pretty solid pick for the Jets there. You're trying to, the Jets are in just a tough spot. You're in a rebuild here, if we're being super honest. You have no Aaron Rodgers, you have no stability at quarterback here. You're going to have to go and do something. Best player available kind of situation, because you need help pretty much everywhere. Why not grab Mason Graham?
I like it. I really like it. I think that's a good pick, and I think I'm about ready to start mixing stuff up here. This is going to absolutely kill me because I want him to fall down the board, but I think ideally right here you give Bryce Young some help. Not in love with any of the other tackles here, despite Armand Bimbao being listed as number 9 here. That's not my first reaction. I am going to go Tyler Warren, Penn State.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I don't hate that either.
Maybe a little bit of a reach, but you got Xavier Legette. I know I think they still have Thielen. Let's add another weapon for Bryce Young.
There you go. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, he's gonna do
it.
It's time.
Do it.
It's about time.
Shedeur Sanders, quarterback, Colorado. I'm ulting. There you go.
I'm
ulting. To me, this seems kind of like a no-brainer. Derek Carr has run his course. There's serious injury concerns. Everyone in the city of New Orleans hates him. Like it's not good. It's just have you seen the videos of Michael Thomas in the streets just yelling about how much he hates Derek Carr?
No.
It's great. It's
Michael
really
Thomas.
funny. But okay, that's besides the point. I think that if you are the New Orleans Saints, you in Mickey Loomis, you are at a point where you need to admit that you fucked up and you need to restart. You need to hit the big fat restart eject button. And step one in doing that is just gutting it completely down in drafting Shedeur Sanders. I think that you're in perpetual cap hell. Draft the young rookie with, in my opinion, the highest upside in this entire draft. If you go back and really watch his tape while he was with Colorado, you would be hard pressed to say that he is not at least the most talented arm wise in this draft. Yes, there's concerns about him taking dumb sacks and whatnot. But if you also go back and consider the context, he is Colorado's entire offense. You cannot run the football and you cannot pass block for fucking shit. So he's making magic out of nothing. And I think that if you're an NFL team, you'd be stupid to not see that. You get paid millions of dollars to look for this stuff. You should be able to pull that out and identify it. Initial reactions, kind of a tough landing spot for Shedeur. Not in a place with a whole plethora of talent. I mean, obviously, you have guys like Chris Olave, which is going to be huge for him, and you have Alvin Kamara, who I mean, we all watched him go berserk in the first few weeks of last year, but realistically, there's not really anyone else on that Saints roster that's going to jump off the page at you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
I like him being paired with Kellen Moore. I think that's going to be conducive to his success. That kind of West Coast pass-centric offense that's not opposed or afraid to run the football, and he's going to have help with Alvin Kamara. But I think that it's an okay landing spot for him. Is it as good as if he was to land with, like, let's say Pittsburgh? Probably not. But I do think that the Pittsburgh thing is kind of a stretch. I don't foresee a world in which he falls out of the top 10, or at least the top 12. Somebody would trade up, or Mike Tomlin would trade up and snag him. What are your initial thoughts on Shedeur to the Saints?
Yeah, I think, this has been the betting favorite for a few weeks now. Obviously makes a lot of sense with Derek Carr having to have shoulder surgery. Probably going to miss some time. Yeah, and you're right. They're in cap hell. It's a tough spot to land. You're definitely not going to be good for a couple, 2-3 years. You hope as you approach that second contract, the Saints start to get things figured out, and you start to come along. But this isn't a Patrick Mahomes Chiefs situation. This isn't a Lamar Jackson Ravens situation. Shedeur is not going to step in and have immediate success because this team, like Ryland said, is in absolute cap hell. They're going to have to dig themselves out of that hell, and it's going to take probably 2 years. So, yeah, Shedeur is probably a good first step to get the ball rolling. Now you can worry about pretty much every other position and build that team around him as cap space starts to be available over the next couple seasons. So, I like it. Also, New Orleans is a pretty highly sought after free agency spot. So as that cap space opens up, not only are you going to have the draft picks at your disposal, but you're going to have guys in free agency who'd love to come and play with Shedeur and who'd love to be in the city of New Orleans. They always do well in free agency. So I think, a big name like Shedeur, a guy who can make every pass on the field, I think that's a step in the right direction. I love it.
I'm with it. Yeah, well, there's our two buffs off the board relatively quickly, 24 minutes into the podcast. Which let's be real. The reason we're doing this is just to see where Shedeur and Travis go. I think we are in a position in which we can kind of pick up the pace more or less. Yep. Like we don't have to really dive headfirst into these picks. We can kind of just rip them off rapid fire style. Jake. The Chicago Bears at 10. Let's see if you agree with me, because I think this is a pretty clear pick.
Pretty clear pick.
There's a guy here that I think that the Bears will pick.
Right there in the top 4, right there?
Page? I would say so.
You would say so?
I would say so.
Yeah, maybe you're thinking Malachi Starks.
I would say I maybe am.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I like Malachi Starks there. I think that's the best.
Don't let me peer pressure you into doing it either.
No, I think that's the best player on the board. PFF has him ranked 8th. I agree with that. He's a huge center who can do pretty much everything on the field. I think he helps that Bears secondary, and they're starting to figure things out offensively. They're going to have an opportunity with those. They've got 2 picks to start the second round. That's probably where they're going to go receiver, running back if they do, or tight end running back if they do. I think Malachi Starks is a good pick there if, Genty's not on the board.
There you go. 11, San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to go with Jahdae Barron. I think that 11 is probably the sweet spot for him. I mean, obviously super talented guy, and in that 49ers defense, you're always going to be stacked up front in that linebacker, and that's just the way that roster is constructed. And if you're John Lynch, you can always find a little bit of help in that secondary. And John Lynch also, he's a guy who likes to go and kind of reach out and grab kind of the lesser known, more talented guy in his eyes. And I think that Barron just kind of fits that mold perfectly. So I'm going to send him off to San Francisco, and he gets to go and deal with the fog and whatnot there.
Yeah. The San Francisco also lost their premier corner and Charvarius Ward to Indianapolis. Yes. So they need help.
Yeah.
They need help. I like it. Cowboys. This is an unbelievably hard pick to make here. I think the Cowboys would love to have Genty if it all worked out, but given Genty's not on the board, do they go for one of the Texas receivers? I don't think so. Give me Luther Burden here.
Ooh.
Yeah, jumping down the draft.
I like that too.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys wouldn't mind getting a receiver, and I think Luther Burden's a better player. A lot of people think he's the most overrated player in the draft. I disagree. I think 12 is a good spot for Burden.
There you go. I like that too. I think that Jerry's going to try to go make some sort of splash. I think that he's caught in so much shit over the last 2 years that he's going to need to go and try to grab some guy that's going to make the fan base happy. And drafting a guy of that prestige in a skill position is going to be the only way you can do that. It's the AK. He's going to try to make a fun cutesy pick. He's not going to pick anywhere in the trenches. Dolphins. I don't know a lot about the Dolphins. I'm going to be so honest.
They're probably losing Jalen Ramsey, and they might be losing Tyreek Hill, if that helps you out any. Probably doesn't help.
Yeah, I mean, that does help me. That does help me a little bit, but I'm going to go back-to-back Mizzou picks with Memba. I think that you're going to need to protect Tua. That offensive line has been questionable for quite some time, as evidenced by his record with concussions there. But you can never go wrong in the trenches with a team like that. And Tua is always running for his life. Why not bulk up at tackle there?
This is a really fun pick that I'm coming up with now here too. Colts are my team, so I'm excited to do this. 2 guys I think that are interesting to me here are the Michigan guys, Will Johnson and Colston Loveland. They're back to back. Those are the 2 guys I would be locking in on. Problem is the Colts, like I said, just signed Charvarius Ward. I don't think they'll go Will Johnson, despite he would be a phenomenal pickup right here. I think they go Colston Loveland. Their tight end room has been the worst in the league for probably 3 or 4 years now. Turns out just drafting 6'8" basketball players doesn't correlate to success. Let's go get a guy with a premier pick in Colston Loveland. I think they'd love to have Tyler Warren. I think that's their guy, but I don't think he's making it that far. So this feels like a good spot for Loveland.
There you go. There you go. I like that pick. I'm kind of shocked knowing the Indianapolis Colts track record with the linebacker position that you didn't pick Jahad Campbell. Well, which I'm going to pick now.
It would have been a good pick
for the Atlanta Falcons.
Just as good of a pick there.
Yeah, what were you going to say earlier before I interrupted you? Sorry.
Oh, I don't know. I think the Colts might feel like they're good at linebacker. I mean, the thing about Chris Ballard, their GM, is I have never seen him use a premier pick on a tight end or a linebacker. With this being Anthony Richardson's make or break deal, I tend to lean offense. Like the Colts have been fine with starting 5th and 6th and 7th string guys like EJ Speed from Tarleton State in the past. The Colts find linebackers in the 3rd and 4th round. Like that's the one thing Chris Ballard, if your job was just if a GM's job was just to draft linebackers, Chris Ballard might be the best GM of all time with Okereke, Leonard, Speed, back to back to back. Now Zaire Franklin. I mean, this has just been an absolute run for the Colts at linebacker. But yeah, I think Jahad Campbell's it actually does make sense though to the Colts. I think it makes even more sense to the Falcons. I think that he's almost a universal fit. You go up a couple more picks, he would have made really good sense on the 49ers.
I would agree.
With that range.
Yeah, Atlanta's got to replace Colorado legend Nate Landman. So
that's actually what I'm focused on here. No, yeah. I think at this point I would go best player on the board, and that is to me is not Walter Nolan. To me, I'd love to see the Cardinals go Will Johnson here.
Okay,
I think Will Johnson arguably could be the best corner in the draft. I think him and Travis both are very much premier corners that are going to have lots of success at the next level. I do think Will Johnson should be going in the top 12 to 10, but he makes it to 16. I would be ecstatic if I was a Cardinals fan to get Will Johnson. Dog.
Yes, yeah, he is a dog. With Cincinnati, you're in perpetual Joe Burrow offensive line, scary hell.
Look at those Ohio State guys right there.
Yeah, I could go Josh Simmons. That makes sense. No, I'm going Calvin Banks from Texas. This guy, he's absurd. Been sliding down draft boards, but just a few months ago, this was considered a consensus top 10 pick. We're forgetting about it. This dude is massive. He's quick with his feet. He's powerful. This is a guy that
gotta have him.
You gotta have him. I think that this is going to be, I think that you'll see Banks go higher than maybe some people think. I think that I really like him, at least from what I've seen out of when I've watched Texas, which is few and far between because I don't want to subject myself to torture. Yeah, I like Calvin Banks to Cincinnati there.
Yeah. Next pick, I've been waiting to take this guy. I don't think there's, if you were at the Senior Bowl, I wasn't, but if you were at the Senior Bowl, the guy who I'm talking about to name was probably the best player at the Senior Bowl. He probably wasn't considered a first round pick until the Senior Bowl, and he dominated. All I heard was Mike Green. So
bang,
he's went far enough down the board.
Legend, the Thundering Herd.
I think the Seahawks would absolutely love to have a good edge rusher. So Mike Green, I like that guy a lot.
Kind of slipped a little bit.
But 3 or 4 months ago, he'd have been at the end or maybe in the second round, at end of first round, early second round or something. So the Senior Bowl really, really shot him up draft boards.
There you go. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this last name. We're going Donovan E here. Donovan E. That Tampa Bay pass rush has been the Vita Vea show and really nothing else. So get some help, get something going, especially off the edge. I don't think I've seen Tampa really threaten in the trenches since Tom Brady was there. So
Yeah.
Get a guy that you think can make some noise off the edge, and I think that's a good pick for them.
So I feel like the Broncos here are okay at wide receiver. I do think they need a
Interesting.
running back. I don't think
I
they have
like
the
that.
help at running back. My pick is going to be a Marion Hampton right here.
Okay. That checks out. That checks out.
I think that's
Checks out.
probably that could be what happens in real life too.
I think so too. I think that they're gonna go. If they don't trade up, they're going running back, which I think there's from what I've seen, there's rumors of them trading up. Pittsburgh. No Shedeur Sanders. So I think they're gonna go kind of wacky. Jalen Milrow.
Yes, I love it. I've wanted this
Go,
for so long.
I like Jalen Milrow with that team, with the absolute specimens you got in there at wide receiver with DK Metcalf and the lads. I like that pick. He's a big physical guy. He can throw the ball. He can run. He's dynamic. I think that he's going to slot very well into that Arthur Smith offense. I like that Jalen Milrow pick. I understand that that's likely quite a reach, but I like Milrow.
I think if Anthony Richardson could go number 4 just a few years ago, I think Jalen Milrow at 21 is just fine. Imagine an offense with DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Jalen Milrow, and Najee Harris. That's the biggest, meanest offense you would have ever seen. Imagine having to go to Pittsburgh, playing 3 inches of snow with the yellow towels flying, and you just have 4 guys who could pretty much play pro athletics in any sport on the offense. I don't know. You've got 4 Derrick Henrys on the offense. I don't know how you stop it. I love it. I think I've been wanting Jalen Milrow to the Steelers for so long now, and I really, really hope it happens.
Do you think that he's going to be able to handle George Pickens and DK Metcalf though? Like, do you think anyone can handle that?
So there's
that
probably
sounds like hell to me.
There's probably going to be fistfights on the sideline, but I think that's what makes.
Kidding.
I think that's
Mike
what makes
Tomlin will be involved in those fistfights too.
Right. And that's what makes the Steelers. That's why you don't want to play them. Their players are actively fist fighting on the sideline. They still come out there and punch you in the math. Little Yinzer action. I think. I think that's I think that's the most fun pick. If we're playing Madden, Jalen Milrow goes to the Steelers. That's for sure.
There you go.
Awesome
the Madden pick of the night. Okay.
That is the Madden pick.
All right.
If you're the
Los
Chargers,
Angeles Chargers.
If you are the Chargers, you absolutely have to start to help out Justin Herbert. You can't just give him a 5'11" white guy and hope that everything works out in Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey is going to be a great receiver in this league. He already is a very high-end receiver. But you can't put all your eggs in that basket. You need other weapons. You need probably someone who can stretch the field on the outside or just take something away from him on the other side of the field. I would go Emeka Ibuka here, but I'm not. I actually think I'm going to go Matthew Golden.
Okay.
Fun pick. We're getting into the fun picks now.
It
wasn't even that much of a reach according to PFF. I thought that was going to be a big reach, and he was ranked 24, so that was actually a good pick by PFF standards.
There you go. Every single year, you reach this 20 to 25 point, and you just see the wide receivers start flying. And this is when I think that's going to happen. I think that the Packers obviously need wide receiver help very, very badly. I mean, you got guys, you got Christian Watson, and that's really it. You got like Dontavian Wicks. Like, what are we doing here? You need to get a guy. You need to get a guy that's not Gutekunst thinking he can outsmart everybody, picking some dude out of freaking Alcorn State in the 6th round. No, we're going freaking Emeka Ibuka. Those wide receivers, those Ohio State wide receivers, are as surefire as it gets. And I don't like that pick because as I said, I'm a Vikings fan, so I don't like that pick. But I think that that's a good pick for the Green Bay Packers.
So it absolutely kills me that you're not able to make this pick here. It kills me, but I'm curious what you're going to think of my pick. I think Walter Nolan slid too far down the board.
I like that.
I do think you feel pretty good offensively. I'm tempted to go. I was tempted to go Judkins there, but I think with Aaron Jones, I think you feel fine enough. With Walter Nolan on the board still, I think the Vikings would do that if in some world that happened.
You never know. You never know, man. You never know. Let Quessy cook, man.
Yeah,
let Quessy cook.
If that guy falls to 24, they're taking him. I almost promise you that.
Yeah. Let me examine my options here.
I'll tell you, there's an Ohio State tackle at the top of the board that would love to have an Ohio State QB.
Yeah, but I mean, you need wide receiver help, certainly. But you're going Josh Simmons. You're going Josh Simmons here.
Tank Dell's going to miss time, so that's not a bad point. They lost Diggs.
Yeah, I mean,
They still have Cooks and Dell.
In this mock draft, I like them going with the Ohio State guy. I like them going with Simmons. I like them going at offensive tackle because here, let's look at the wide receivers at this point in time. You have Alec Iomanar, who obviously we got some Big 12 guys here too, but Iomanar, the dude who mossed Travis in that Stanford game, who he's just kind of a specimen. I think he's okay. I like Jaden Higgins, but that's definite reach. And Jack Besh is also quite the reach on that. I don't think that you have guys who are first round worthy on the board right now. So I think you're gonna go with the safe pick.
Yeah.
If you are the Houston Texans, you got a good roster together. You're going best available. You're going offensive line there.
Yeah, and I have a weird suspicion, and this is completely based off of I don't have inside information on what the Rams are going to do, but I could see Ramsey coming back to the Rams. So for whatever reason, I think the Rams would love to get Ramsey back. They announced, or I think there was a Sean McVay clip yesterday of him saying we're going to try to get him back. I think Jalen Walker has slid way too far down the board. I think a lot of people have Jalen Walker near 10 to 12. And I know PFF's got him at 25, but I think, I changed my mind. I changed my mind. Let's go Kenneth Grant, actually, because I think they'd love to have some help on the interior. Ever since Aaron Donald, I think they'd love to have the interior help. They've got a couple guys who are passable on the outside. Let's go Kenneth Grant.
Okay. I like that. If you're Baltimore Ravens, you're going perpetual best player available here. You got a guy like Lamar. You've got a stacked roster. You're contending for Super Bowls every single year, and you need help on the edge. And you got James Pierce Jr. falling right to you. That's a no-brainer. We're going to go ahead and pick that. You're going to go ahead and lock that in, get some help on the edge, kind of make that defense more dynamic. Not that defense is bad, but just the way that Baltimore team works, this is the offensive show. You got a quarterback like Lamar. Why don't we show a little love to the defense? You're pretty satisfied on the offensive side of the football. We're going to show a little love to the defense.
Yeah. Also, you could see the Ravens trading up or back. They've kind of left a lot of rumors open as far as where they're looking to trade and if they're looking to trade. Seems like the Ravens would be very open to potentially dishing Mark Andrew and moving up or moving back and stacking picks. So I'm super interested in what they're going to do. Lions, I do kind of want to go edge rusher. I think they feel more than satisfied with what they've got on the offensive side of the ball. If you want to nitpick at something they could improve on, I think it would be defense. Can you look up cornerbacks? Because I have a guy in mind, but I want to see who they have him ranked, see if this is a ridiculous pick. Because I like Morrison. Yeah, I'm going to screw the average draft pick being 52. I'd like to go Ben Morrison here. I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he's a first-round talent. I tend to agree more so with PFF than with the average draft. I like him near the end of the first round. I think he's a steal.
I like that. If you are the Washington Commanders, you've got your quarterback of the future. Why don't you protect him? We're gonna go Gary Zabel. That all these corn-fed North Dakota men come in here and they're freaking beasts. They're monsters. You grab that guy, you grab the specimen, and you roll with them.
Yeah, I like it. Bills here, I think edge rusher, I think is where they would potentially look. I know Von Miller is getting to an age where you probably don't feel super confident in him anymore. One lower extremity injury, and he's probably on his way out the door. I'm going to go Nick Squirton here. I like him higher up the board than most. He fits perfectly there with him being ranked 29. I like him higher than that probably, but I think he's fell down the board far enough.
I'm debating doing something.
Well,
diabolical.
I was gonna do something. I could do something diabolical with the Chiefs. I know you could do something diabolical with the Chiefs. Get diabolical, man. My pick was gonna be devious.
What if I went Harold Fannin? What if I did Harold Fannin?
They're trying to. I mean, Travis Kelce's got 1 year left in him, probably.
What if I did it though? I don't know if I'm gonna do it, but I would be lying to say that I didn't think about it. Ooh,
a lot of choices.
Ooh. This is a hard one.
It's a really.
This is a really hard one. But I'm gonna be fucking lame. I think. I really debated doing Harold Fannin. I think that they would do some.
They do fuckery. Need. If the Super Bowl taught us anything, they do need a tackle.
Yeah. I'm shocked that Jalen Walker is here, and I think that if Jalen Walker was to land here, I don't think Kansas City would pass up a player of that caliber.
No, don't take him just so he can go to the Eagles. That would be even worse.
Okay, I'm gonna prevent Howie Roseman from drafting another.
Yeah, dude, Howie Roseman,
Georgia linebacker. We don't. That's the last thing we need.
You are not allowed to draft another Georgia linebacker.
That has inexplicably fallen to you.
Yeah, it's gone on too long. Having wide receiver listed as a need when you have AJ Brown, Jahan Dotson, and Devonta Smith makes me scratch my head as their number one need. I mean, they literally just lost multiple guys on the defensive side of the ball with, I think, Sweat and Bond both leaving. Anyway, sometimes you just have to scratch your head and just wonder what PFF is cooking. I like Shamar Stewart here, probably more than anyone else I'm going to find. So give me Shamar Stewart. He's going to be a replacement for Josh Sweat, and ideally doesn't take him too terribly long to come around and produce.
What do we think the grade is?
That's our mock draft, though. I think we're probably in for a C, maybe C plus.
A C? Okay. This ad is doing a good job
of hiding it,
blocking our grade. Okay. Oh, never mind.
No grade.
Here we can get a little look. Maybe it's at the bottom. No grade. How do I?
Oh, it's I think you have to pay for it.
Oh no, I'm not paying for PFF. Do you really have to pay for it now?
I guess so.
Does it not too funny. Tell you? That's freaking stupid, man. Can I download it? Does it tell me if I download it?
Gosh darn it.
No, it doesn't. I'm gonna give our mock draft an A+. Does it really not grade it? Oh no.
You had Travis 2 and Shedeur 9, and
that's really what we're here for. But
if any other Colorado players had made it into the mock draft, there would have been some concerns about potential substance usage on this podcast. So probably best to leave those guys off the mock for now.
There you go. I'm pissed that it doesn't dude, that's That's
Well, you know
upsetting
what
me.
we can do is if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and leave a comment. Give us
Grade our
your
draft
vote.
for us.
Be mean. I mean, be mean, right? Like, be mean. Like, insult us based on appearances, based on the way we talk. Like, it doesn't even have to be about the mock draft. Just give me an F and say, Jake, you sounded stupid. Leave us some sort of feedback on this mock draft, football related or not, and then maybe we can gauge how we did.
Say no. Shedeur is going. Shedeur is going number 1.
Yeah, say
Okay,
that.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pop this up here. We can get a final analysis of the very official Ralphie report. First round mock drafts. I guess quick rapid fire style. Which of the wide receivers is getting drafted highest?
Yeah, I mean, McMillan, I think that's a
Well,
good pick.
Colorado wide receivers.
Oh.
We're switching back to buff centric.
Yeah. I think that's a really tough pick. I think, I personally would take Will Shepherd first off the board given the physicals, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think there's a few teams that are absolutely in love with Jimmy Horn. I also think there's a lot of teams in need of a shifty slot receiver that's got a little bit of special teams ability. Will Shepherd offers very little special teams ability, and you really need him to develop into a pure X receiver. A little bit of a riskier pick almost. I think Jimmy Horn's first off the board just because that position in his special teams ability is going to be a little bit more needed.
I like that. I'll just to contrast you because I agree with you. Just to contrast you, I'll say Will Shepherd. I think that you're going to find teams that are hard pressed to find a guy with the intangibles that Will Shepherd has. He's big, he's fast. He can go up and make those 50-50 balls like 90-10 balls. I was going to say he has great hands, but that would probably be disingenuous. But
He's got big hands. Sometimes
he's
they
got
just
big
don't reach the
hands.
ball.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just don't do
Yeah,
that.
they don't. You look through the triangle.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I'll go Will Shepherd. I think that some team will take a flyer on him and he'll land higher than we expect. I think maybe 5th, 6th round, Will Shepherd. I like that range. And then last question, and then we'll wrap it up. How many total buffs do you see going off the board?
6.
So 6 buffs drafted.
6, I think so. I think Travis and Shedeur, if one of those guys don't
Okay.
get drafted, there's going to be an apocalypse in the street. And then, I do think Jimmy, I think Horn, Western, Shepherd will all go day 3, which is crazy to say. 3 Colorado receivers day 3, but I think all 3 of them are too good to pass up. If any of them make it out of the 7 rounds, that's going to be a great steal for somebody. And then lastly, we're looking at BJ Green, right? Would be the last one. Yeah, I think you could see BJ Green being a day 3 guy as well. As much as I want the best for Shiloh, I kind of have a feeling Shiloh is going to be an undrafted free agent wherever Shedeur goes, and that team's going to give him a chance to earn his spot. And if it's the Saints, I think it makes perfect sense. So I think 6, and I think if Shiloh goes, it'll be at the end of the 7th round.
Okay. I'll go 5. I think Shedeur, Travis, Will, Jimmy, and I'll go BJ Green. I think LeJohntay is gonna. I wouldn't be surprised if LeJohntay makes it through the draft without hearing his name called. He's just small, and it sucks because it's not his fault. But I would love to see LeJohntay drafted, obviously, but some team is gonna take a chance on him as an undrafted free agent and be very, very glad they did. But I don't know. Yeah, that'll be my prediction. My risky prediction is I don't think LeJohntay gets picked.
That's okay. More than likely someone gets left out, whether it's Wester or Green or maybe Maybe people have issues with Shepard's hands. I don't know.
I mean, we'll see. But a five Buffalo draft is pretty fucking. I would consider that a success.
Big dub.
Big dub. Yeah, I think that's it, right?
Yep.
We've run our course here with this mock draft. Make sure you're keeping up with our coverage on Twitter and RalphieReport.com and our Blue Sky on both the Twitter and the Blue Sky at Ralphie Report. We'll be putting out some pretty sweet content in the run up to this draft here in the next 24 hours. So make sure you're keeping up with that. And as the off season enters full swing, I would say expect more of that wacky, out of the box Ralphie Report shenanigans in the future. You know, the news is going to be far and few between in the next few months, so we're going to have to get creative, and we'll be on our A game, and we'll be. This is where we thrive. This is where we excel when we're doing the crazy stuff, and we got to think out of the box, and we come up with the best fun ideas and stuff like that. So make sure you're keeping up with us. Thank you for joining me, Jake, NFL draft expert. This would not be possible without your talent and expertise. So there you go. He doesn't know what to say, guys. All right.
I'm speechless. That was unbelievable glaze, guys. That's great.
All right. We're wrapping this up. All right, everyone. Have a good draft weekend in Sco freaking Buffs.
Go Buffs.